Hey, welcome back. It's Malik Banks with the 00Lounge Consolecast. Alright, so in this episode, it might sound like I got that Zika, but I don't, okay? I was babysitting little kids last week, and now I got whatever they had, and I don't feel very good. But in this episode, I interviewed my little brother, developer extraordinaire, jet-setting playboy, Sabar Banks, alright? So, we talk about video games, life and the pursuit of happiness, all that good stuff. And it's a pretty good episode. I'm very proud of it. So without further ado, here's episode 21, the Super Bros app. Why don't you do us a favor? Subscribe to us on iTunes, okay? Help us out. Leave a comment. Go over to Twitter. Be our friend. Give us some likes. Enjoy. Welcome to episode 21 of the 00Lounge podcast. Now we are the 00Lounge Consolecast. Episode 21, we can drink now. And I'm here with my brother.
What up?
Sabar Banks. Sabar Banks, how you doing?
I'm good. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for, agreeing to do this. I thought to myself, we're going to do it, try to do something a little different. I've never done an interview before, so you're my first interview.
Oh, okay.
And I started this thing. I want to say, the 00Lounge. Let me just explain to you about what the 00Lounge concept is. Back in the day, when I was, supposed to be in school, during the day we would go play GoldenEye all day. That's all we would do. We go to my friend's house over on Church.
Y'all cut in school.
Yep, over on 34th and Linden.
Badasses.
34th and Linden, the places we weren't supposed to be. We held it down playing rounds of Golden Gun. All day. We just did that all day. We did it for money. We did it for whatever, bragging rights, push-ups, whatever we could do it for, we did it. And that time, that was just we just dubbed that place the 00Lounge. So in that, as I grew, everywhere I've been, everywhere I could connect the console, that's been the 00Lounge. So now...
Oh, so this isn't a new thing?
No, it's existed for a long time. And I got to give credit to my boy Ron, because he was the one to coin that phrase. And I just, it's just something that stuck with me for a while. And to continue that in the digital space, just to continue my love and appreciation for, co-op gaming, just gaming in general, I started 00Lounge.com to, kind of keep that going. But anyway, audience, this is my brother, my actual real brother. We've been playing games, we've been through just about every generation of games together, for the past, 30 now,
30,
right?
Literally the 30 years. NES, Atari.
Yeah.
Up until now.
And this is something that, apparently gaming is not going away. It's only getting better. That being said, Sabar, tell our audience a little bit about yourself and what you like to play.
Hey guys, my name is Sabar. I'm his younger brother, the better one, I like to say. Anyway, so as he's mentioned, we've been gaming since back in the Atari days, and pretty much gaming is my life, his life, everyone's life right now. And I love it. I love the entertainment experience. I love how it's a very good medium for narrative. And now these days, you got video games that are approaching production values of movies. They have actors come in. It's just such a great canvas for art form, for artistry, I would say. So that's what I love about video games. What I'm currently playing now is on Xbox One. I play Dying Light. I'm still playing that. I love it. I'm a big Halo fan, so anyone who loves Halo, I've played them all. Haven't played the small games, what was that one? Halo Assault for the phone. That doesn't count. We only count console Halo games.
Twin stick shooter.
Yeah. I love Dead or Alive, so I love playing fighters. We first started on Tekken, I remember back in the day. Mm-hmm. Now I'm a big DOA fan, so if anybody wants to challenge me, I'm pretty good. So
yeah, we'll do all the social media plugs and game attack plugs at the end. But definitely, if you're into the Dead or Alive, definitely challenge my brother. So the first episode, I think me, Angelo, and Aaron, we started off talking about our earliest gaming memory, and like. The one that stuck with me the most is the first time I saw Super Mario Brothers, which was over at Yakini's house that time. We were over there that one weekend, and it was just like, that's when everything kind of like clicked. Like we were exposed to like Atari 2600, like everything before that. But when I saw Mario, and I think this might have been like 89, so we were a little bit late to the game in that respect. Excuse me. When I saw that, it was just like, yo, like this is it. Like I need this, whatever this is. I gotta get it. Like that was me. For you, what was your earliest gaming memory?
My earliest, well, I remember being there. Besides you, our two sisters, playing all those games, but it really didn't click for me then. It happened to me when I played my first RPG and understood it, which was Phantasy Star 4 for Sega Genesis.
Yeah, that was a great one.
That was the first game where like I was absorbed by it. I was in the world. Like the lore and everything, and that one for Sega Genesis did it for me. Like after then, I think this is like 1994 at this point. That's when it clicked for me.
Yeah, I remember you were playing that on the Nomad, and then when I had got a chance to play it, that was another game where it was like what? Like this is something completely different than what I was used to playing. Like I think up until that point, it was like a lot of platformers, a lot of like platformy shooters. But something so in depth, like so many hours of gameplay. It was such an expansive universe and adventure and story. I mean, it was just Phantasy Star 4. My man Chaz, that's my guy.
Rune,
Rika. Those are my guys. So that was a pretty cool time for games.
And what also that did is that introduced me to gaming music, because the music for that was really good. When you play Mario, it's just kind of like 3 notes for X amount of bars, and that's pretty much it. But this game was just so laid in terms of its music. Yeah,
and I think Sega to its credit, like it had some of the best game music ever. Even still now to this day, I still go through. I guess on YouTube there are playlists of old Streets of Rage, Sonic games, all that from that era. Excuse me. And they had some of the most memorable music in games. What's your favorite game series?
My favorite game series would have had to been that's hard. How do I answer this? Game series across all time?
All time.
My favorite game series across all time will have to be... how do I answer that question? It'll have to be Halo.
Yeah.
Sorry. It'll definitely have to be Halo, the Master Chief dynamic. This one, when it first jumped on the scene in 2001, it was a little bit of a surprise, because when I saw the trailers and knew the history, it was like some old PC game from when PCs were kind of like, wasn't that great in terms of
old Mac game
being polished in terms of graphics and presentation. PC games were kind of like crappily put together, kind of. And you had your few titles from these studios that were really old, that were really good. But Halo, it did everything. It had the story. It had that viral kind of marketing campaign that started with the I Love Bees, then the Katana letters from the first game. So then when you play it, you're just thrown into this universe of, okay, where am I? What am I doing? And then all this chaos. And slowly but surely, as you pick through the early chapters up until the end, the story gets revealed to you. And it's such a great game, such a great story, such a great cast, characters are well written. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I think up until that point, stories in game, I don't think they were that compelling. I don't think they were as. I don't think a lot of stories were as compelling, especially in the shooter realm as Halo, and the multiplayer, the co-op, the LAN, like that was just a phenomenon of its own. Yeah, so like if I take it back to like when remember like in the beginning, like even like when we're young, like sibling rivalry being a thing. I was on the Sony side, you were on the Sega Xbox side.
Yep.
And like seeing like I was so like, nah, fuck that. I'm I'm not gonna play an Xbox like you fucking crazy. I got the greatest console on the planet, PlayStation 2. And you had the Xbox and you were sitting there, and I don't know if it was one day like you were like out away at school or whatever, and the Xbox was sitting there. I'm like, play this shit. Plug it in, all these triangle, blocky looking motherfuckers, aliens. Plug it in, play it. I'm like, oh shit, like this is crazy. And then a friend of mine had it, and then I was over at his house. Like it just took us right back to the golden eye days. With the multiplayer, and like everything just clicked. Like that was the game. Like it was like fatback televisions, full play split screen watching, all that. But my shotgun was still unstoppable, and like we would play like we would play so many hours. Like it should have been illegal, But that's what I remember.
And it was so pick up and play too. Because I remember when I went to school, we were still playing the first. When I went to college, we were still playing the first Halo. Mm-hmm. And you get these freshmen just coming with all these TVs and all these rigs, and just plug them up. And then you get people who never even heard it and played it before, just start sitting down. Next thing you know, it's 8 hours later.
Yeah, we didn't know where the time went. We spent our whole days playing. And I want to say around the time Halo 2 came out. And it was like this whole big marketed thing. Like Halo was a phenomenon, a big thing at the time. Like as soon as a Halo game dropped, it was like the Super Bowl or some shit like that. But we immediately went into multiplayer, and that was like one of the greatest multiplayer experiences.
Still to this day, yeah.
Favorite console of all time. That's something that we also talked about.
That's gonna be my favorite console of all time. Would have had to been. That's a tie. I'm gonna say it's the Xbox, the first one, because that had like a full duration, full life cycle. But then like a close second will be the Dreamcast, but we'll just leave it at Xbox.
Yeah.
And it all boils down to I've never seen a console bring presence to the room, and when I mean presence, like it literally had like a following, like a crowd follow it and be. Like kind of like diehard fangirls after like a boy band. That's really how it was. Like when it first launched that November of 2001.
Were you at the launch?
Yes, me and our cousin Jonathan. It was this 4-day launch they did in Soho. Us being from like Harlem and the Bronx or whatever. We've never gone down to Soho. So us Soho was like kind of like the other side of the tracks. So we got into Soho. We're all lost. And we see these. We can't find this place we're trying to go to. Next thing you know, we see these columns of green light shooting to the sky, and this whole big event. You got the girls dressed up as DOA. You got Master Chief running around, this truck that they were giving away, and then all these people just started running. And then from then on up until the Halo launches, whatever first party title they launched, they always had like some kind of like cult following. Is culture really. They made a gaming culture.
Yeah, and I think like you've made me aware of that because on every time something launches, you give me a call up and be like, hey, you going to this, you going to that, and then actually like I remember, did you buy your Xbox at launch?
No, I bought my Xbox later.
Yeah, I just remember you came home with like extra paraphernalia, and I was like. Fucking Xbox. It's all about PlayStation. Nobody wants to buy American consoles anymore.
I remember you saying this too, and about the paraphernalia is right, because I remember me and Jonathan, we counted up our t-shirts, because we just kept getting t-shirt. We had a total of 10 t-shirts a piece, plus like book bags, tote bags, stickers, and I mean, when you do a 4-day event for someone in their teen years, and you give free Taco Bell and Sobe drinks, bands, and free stuff to take home.
I remember that. Sobe, damn.
I don't even think they have Sobe anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe somewhere out Midwest, something like that. But I mean that was I didn't. Again, I always tell the podcast and Angela and Aaron that I'm a reformed fanboy. Like I've learned. I've learned not to take any one side. Anything could change, and then like, why do you have allegiances to brands anyway? Like, what's the point? But everybody has to justify their purchase in some way, some shape, or how. But like, excuse me, had I had let my fanboyness get the better of me, I would have not known what a great experience that was.
Yeah, and
wouldn't have been a part of it. It would have been something that would have been completely alien to me, and I missed it. And I'm glad I didn't miss it.
And honestly, like the other pieces, the online framework that they had, no one had anything like Xbox Live.
Nobody.
For a while after it launched, nobody. The most we had, I think, was Sega Saturn back in the day. Had like some crappy dial-up thing that no one ever used. I think like one game supported it. Dreamcast had like 2 or 3 games that supported it. Main one being Phantasy Star Online. And PlayStation, nope, it didn't have one until like the next year after Xbox's, and even then, it was back. So
they didn't have online infrastructure really until the PlayStation 4 came out.
Basically, yeah, because PS3 is.
I mean, I was at the PS3 launch. And when I got the thing home, plugged it in, plugged it up, turned on. Well, no, actually, the PlayStation Network wasn't a thing until maybe like months, if not a year later.
Yeah, it was like a year or two after.
And when you booted up, whatever the PlayStation Network name was at the time, it brought you basically to a web page with like these 2 clickable buttons on it. It was basically like a web browser.
Really?
That was it. That was the online infrastructure.
Wow.
And the multiplayer felt kind of like PC style, like hoppers.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So it was like
some
real
P2P kind of choppy BS.
It's very, very basic.
Yeah.
Very basic.
Putting in IP addresses and ports.
It was damn near close to that. But the Xbox 360 was so light years ahead at the time. Like there was no way for them to catch up, and even so now, like you can't even change names on PS.
Oh, you still see?
Excuse me. Can't even change names. Like that's just ridiculous. But anyway, so you went to school, computer science.
Yep.
You're a developer now. Excuse me. From your perspective, seeing games, how they transition from, like 8-bit characters running on the screen to now several 100,000 polygons, processing power. What's your perspective on current game design now and game tech?
In terms of game design, I think that has come a long way. It is the best it's ever been for ever, because when you compare now to back in the generations where people are making sprites, people are kind of just really getting down 3D techniques, and how do I bring emotion to a 3D model. It's the best it's ever been. It's you have all these great tools, all these great techniques in terms of cranking out great graphics. Now we got these studios that exist where they can come and they can do all this elaborate motion capture, and then they can sample it into the game system or whatever the design framework they're using, and then have these characters be really lifelike. It's amazing. In terms of the console, I feel it's kind of stagnated a little bit in innovation in terms of hardware, because now I feel like we're at a point where a lot of these companies, mainly I'll say Microsoft, or actually Nintendo started it, everyone's trying to make a poor man's hardware, make the most generic hardware, so it costs less and it does enough.
Yep.
As opposed to console release iterations in the past, where when they came out, they pushed the envelope. They had new technologies that were developed specifically for console gaming. Like people sat around the room and it was like, okay, how do we make a system that we're not going to upgrade for the next 5 years at minimum? Mm-hmm. How do we make it so that way it can be amazing for the next 5 years?
Yeah, and that's something I remember. Like, even though they didn't have a strong lead, but every time a new console generation came out, they kind of had like a slight lead over PC.
Yeah.
And then there was just this one point where PC just there was no catching up. Like they just moved ahead. It was just the natural progression. Like PC technology it improved so much and so frequently that there was no way consoles to catch up. And like you said, they would just constantly go for lowest common denominator type specs on the console end. And we kind of got left behind. Yeah,
this generation. I mean, the Xbox, PS4, everyone likes to complain, PS4 is like 50% more. I'm like, no. compared to like a low end PC, they're bad. They're not good.
Yeah.
They were. I mean, from what I understand, the Xbox One pretty much has like a laptop equivalent processors. Might have 8 of them, but they're still pretty weak.
Yeah.
They really skimped out is because, I call it the cell phone effect, where like Apple and whoever are the Android manufacturers, they want to have releases every year to 18 months. And so you're not gonna release a phone with crazy specs because you want customers to buy new stuff every year, 18 months. And I feel where console hardware is now, it's getting to that very fast, very small, cyclical kind of deal. I mean, look where we are now with the 1S and the Scorpio, and now the PS4 Neo and the Nintendo NX or whatever it's called coming out. And we've really taken a hit in terms of hardware release in terms of their quality, but design. Best it's ever been.
Yeah. So, with that said, new consoles coming out on the horizon, and it kind of like this. It's I don't think we've ever had a period in time. Well, we've had like redesigns and all that with consoles in the middle of their cycles, but we've never had like spec bumps or a newer version. And I don't know what they're going to call the Neo. I don't know what they're going to call Scorpio in the end, whether it's still going to be like, if they just continue calling it the Xbox, from now to infinity. And when they first announced it, like the Scorpio, or kind of hinted at something Scorpio-like coming out, I kind of got in my mind, like, well, generations are dead. They'll just do like what cell phones do, and it's just like the new thing that you buy, and you buy in when you buy in, and that's it. And especially with the unification with Microsoft stores, with the Universal Windows app situation, how that all their apps are compatible with Xbox and vice versa. Kind of thinking like the console generation, like the generation as a concept is kind of on its way out, at least on the Microsoft end of the spectrum. I don't think Nintendo or even Sony's in a position to do what Microsoft is doing, just because they're a bigger company and they have more money to throw away. Whereas each of those Nintendo and PlayStation, all they have is those consoles, and everything is kind of resting on that. But what do you think about? All right, let's step back. When's the last time you bought a Nintendo console?
Technically, never. I've never owned a Nintendo console. I've never owned one, unless you count when we had the first Nintendo.
Yeah.
Way back in like the early 90s, late 80s.
Yep.
That's the last Nintendo console that I technically owned, even though it was bought for the family.
Yeah. I mean, I owned the Super Nintendo after that. No, we owned the 64.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We had a 64. Yeah. I forgot about that. All right, 64. So this is like 1996, 7, 8.
96.
Yeah.
We played GoldenEye. That's what we used to play on. We used to play on
GoldenEye and Turok.
My 64. Yeah, GoldenEye, Turok.
Mario Kart, Mario Party.
What's that? No, South Park.
South Park, yeah.
South Park, for our first person shooter.
Yeah.
The yellow snow gun.
Yeah.
I think they have the most to lose, only because like they've been. I always say like they're like the most abusive to their fans, because they came out with the Wii, which was like it was basically like two GameCubes stuck together.
For real.
It wasn't a part of the HD generation. They were not trying to compete in terms of power. They had a novel concept. It was a gimmick. It worked. They sold close to 100 million, if not 100 million units.
I think a little more.
And they tried to repeat that same process while not courting any third-party support. Like, that's been a Nintendo problem since, and I think that's the reason why the PlayStation came to be, was because Nintendo was the biggest guy on the block. You had to go through. They were like fucking Kaiser Soze. They were like Scarface.
Yeah, they were the face of gaming.
You had to go through them, and they pissed off a lot of people along the way. They made a lot of enemies, so a lot of people disaffected, joined up with whoever could present the best challenge to them. Sega and Sony. And basically they wrote their own death note at that point in time. As far as third party, like first party support with Nintendo is like unrivaled. They do a lot of good first party stuff. But a game, Mario alone cannot sell consoles on a consistent clip, especially when you compare it to like the Wii. Now they have this NX coming out, and supposedly, from what I understand, it's a hybrid console where it's a handheld, portable, and a home system, whatever that means.
Nice.
What do you think about that console?
I mean, unless it's sleek, like how Microsoft has that Xbox, Continuum. I think that's they're like kind of bridging the gap between different devices. That thing's supposed to be able to do PC level work by plugging into some dock station, whatever. But see, that's kind of seamless because you don't have like this huge janky. Probably it's gonna have like multiple components like they try to do with the Wii and the Wii U, where you get this huge Sega Nomad, Sega Game Gear level. Kind of like almost like a tablet controller. Then you got the actual, the main box and a couple other things that go around it. If it's small enough and simple enough to be like how Microsoft has Continuum, where it's just pretty much a phone, a high-powered phone, and you just kind of use it anywhere, that'll work.
Yeah.
But if it's something where it's like all these huge, janky pieces that you have to kind of like move around and it's not very simple. It's not going to work because if they're going to market this to like children, that's like the stereotypical main crowd that they're usually accused of. Yep. It's not going to work. No one wants to sit there for like 10 years figuring out how to put this stuff together. No one wants to buy like 50 million things. So they really need. I mean, I think it's a good idea. It's already being done in other spaces, other tech spaces, but the execution has to be perfect because if it's not, then no one's going to care.
Yeah.
No one's going to care. No one's going to buy it. Because at the end of the day, when I'm going to a console, I want to press power, maybe insert a disc or download a game I want to play. That's what it is. I don't want to have to, I want to do A plus B equals C. I don't want to do A times this times a tangent of that, and it's all complex.
Yeah. I think they're setting themselves up for failure. Like, for not just doing, like, a regular console, not trying to compete on hardware, not trying to pursue third-party interests. Like, to me, that's their main failing. Like, I can't play Call of Duty on it. Not because I want to play Call of Duty on a Nintendo console, but if people can play what they want to play and get the Nintendo experience from the same machine, like, people would want to do that. But because Nintendo makes it so prohibitive, first of all, the controllers are making prohibitive anyway, because no one wants to design for those things. Like, that's been their thing. Like, oh, we're going to change the control schemes up and kind of force feed all our games through this weird control scheme.
64.
I mean, 64 is different. It's more like GameCube and Wii. Like, oh yeah, they just went like with controllers. And then you got to buy like a standard controller, like separate, and that it's just the worst.
And to feed on that point, they really should take notes from the other companies, because if they want to make this kind of experience, they should invite people who are outside of their own box.
Oh yeah.
Mainly, how Sony and Microsoft are doing right now is they want to have a lot of things that connect in with their console and their computers. They're invoking the help of these small cell phone OEMs by having apps and stuff run on their phone, being supported, kind of extending the usability of their network, their framework.
Yeah.
So it's not only just Microsoft's products. They're launching things on Android. They're launching things on iOS, their own phone, whatever that is, and they're really bringing other players to the table to help them out. 'Cause at the end of the day, it also works because you get to offset costs in some standpoint.
Yeah.
You don't gotta always do R&D to release console, do focus groups to figure out what people like. You really can just you can offset it to someone else. From a business standpoint, they really need to think about that.
Did you play Pokemon Go?
Pokemon Go. I call it Pokemon Go to hell because I wish that's where we go. I mean, I haven't played it, and I don't want to play it because I feel it's like the Candy Crush craze, where it's like once you start playing it, you kind of get like hypnotized. So try to stay away. I think it's all right, and I think when you get besides the whole marketing BS of it gets everyone standing and walking, it's just complete hogwash. I think it's a good idea. I do like it. Because you kind of just take Google Maps and you make it into a game. Like you overlay a game layer on top of it, which is great. Tech-wise, it's probably very a good. That's probably the most technical, impressive thing I've seen Nintendo do for a long time now.
Yeah.
I've never seen them do something technically impressive for hardware for a long time, but for them to do something like this on software, That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it was built on the corpse of another game by the company that developed Niantic. I forget the name of the game, but it was kind of like this real world. Like you had to go to locations and collect these like gems to, you're fighting like two sides of a war, and it was like it had to get people to aggregate in certain locations, and then you would all like, I don't know, like it was something to that effect where it was like a real world augmented reality type game. I played it for like the first 3 days, and then it wouldn't work anymore. And then I tried to get it to work again for like another week, and I just never went back to it. I mean, it's a novel concept. It's definitely something that everybody was talking about. I mean, like even people outside of the game industry.
Yeah, everybody at my job plays it.
And like it was actually like mentioned in I won't say the company that I work for, but it was mentioned in one of our releases that they were going to try to see if they could leverage it somehow. To get people to come to certain of our properties that we. Oh
yeah, because you can make like a lore gym.
Exactly. It was definitely something that we're looking at for marketing purposes to get people to come out and buy stuff. So yeah, that was the most impressive thing they've done in a very long time. I'm still waiting to see like a real like Mario game. Like I don't want to see like a retro made Mario where it's like, all right, 2D 3D-ish side scrolling, or another Mario Galaxy. I've always said they would if they looked at Grand Theft Auto, and by them especially Grand Theft Auto is probably my favorite game series out right now. If they did a Mario with somewhat of a narrative and a 3D open world, kind of like Super Mario 64, but modernized for now, they would sell so many of those games.
Yeah, I would like to see Mario. That would be a good thing to see, like a living, breathing world, and not just like Mario just runs around and stomping on things and trying to save princesses and collecting stars. Like they need like make a livable, breathable world.
That would
where
be
you're interacting with NPCs, X, Y, Z, ABC. That would be pretty cool.
That would be
amazing. He needs to evolve a little bit. He's been stuck in the same mode. All their like first parties been stuck for a while.
I mean, like Zelda, the story has. I mean, I didn't play Twilight Princess, but I mean, if it's along the lines of all right, do all this bullshit till you get silver arrows and then go shoot Ganon. I mean,
the same thing we've been playing since the first one.
And that was, to me, like if I look back at it, that was like one of the original open world games I played, because you could pretty much go anywhere on the map.
Oh yeah, that is true. You could pick that as open world.
Yeah, like it was. And again, that was like one of the things. Like I would just like walk around the map. I didn't even want to do anything. I just wanted to walk around and find like see what the different areas were like, and run from shit that's trying to kill me. But yeah, I mean, they haven't done anything. They've been very abusive to people who have been supporting them for a very long time by just rehashing games. With NX and Scorpio, I feel like their hand was forced because they're trying to dive into this whole VR thing.
Yeah.
and from what I've read on Gama Sutra and certain blogs, that devs were like, listen, for a VR experience to work on your hardware, you got to step it up because it kind of sucks. Like hardware, it can't do it. So, with Oculus and Vive as potential partners for Microsoft, and then PSVR being a thing coming out, like they have like this whole breakout. But I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of the unit, the PlayStation VR unit. There's like the separate box that sits alongside your PlayStation.
Oh,
that you had to like kind of
it's like all right. So I haven't looked into PSVR, whatever it's called. However, it's a separate box.
It comes with a separate box.
So let me guess, that's like some kind of thing where you kind of plug it in and does
supposedly
like separate processing.
This is the two functions that it said it was going to do. It was sound processing, and it outputs, like they call it like a social screen, where it's like a 720p additional screen, so you can see what the other person is seeing inside the VR headset. Supposedly that's all it's doing.
So it pretty much has a GPU. It's a hardware component. It's the offset processing.
It is.
For whatever, it might be a specific function in terms of like whatever market terms they can come up with.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much another processing unit in terms of graphics and sound, and probably has a CPU on it, just to offload that,
They're not saying that.
Yeah, because that would be like, okay, so I'm buying an add-on, but it's to offload the processing duties for VR capabilities.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
See,
so that's what I kind of think is pushing this new hardware down, because I don't think they would change especially Sony. They wouldn't change the hardware if they didn't have to. Only because they're currently the number one seller. Like, they're still selling at an amazing clip. But the VR experience as compared to everyone else is not as good.
See, and this is where I'm going to say that now, and that's funny because the vernacular people say about Xbox One this cycle is they made the third console mistake that everybody made, especially Sony and PS3. And now Sony's kind of making their mistake that they made last gen with HD DVD with this really crappy VR add-on, not keeping up with the times. Really, Xbox 360 should have had a Blu-ray or at least HD DVD in it. They failed on that gamble. Now we got Sony doing pretty much the same thing with this kind of separate processing box, and it's if it's not as good, no one's gonna buy it, or at least developers won't make compelling experiences for it.
This is the thing, like, the pre-order numbers are like off the charts for PSVR. I think it has the most potential for being mainstream only because of the convenience. Like, you don't have to have like a $1,200, $1,300 PC to run it. It's $400, $500, depending on which bundle you get.
The separate piece is $400?
No. Like, you get the PSVR with the breakout box,
with the PS4,
those little PlayStation 1 controllers, and the camera, all in one bundle. I think that's $500, which is $100 cheaper than Oculus, and I think $200 to $300 cheaper than.
And it comes with
$5.
It comes with the original PS4 console or the new one.
No. The new console's not out yet.
Okay.
It just comes. That's just with that's VR.
That's just VR. Okay.
Yeah. Console's still. I think the cheapest price now is like maybe $300, $350. The Neo, when it comes out, is probably going to be. I peg it at $400.
That's probably going to have that. That's probably going to be VR ready.
Yeah, and it probably won't require a breakout box. If that's the way it is, then you know that's what the breakout box was for. To make up for the lack.
That's
of
a weird.
power.
See, in terms of. From a product standpoint, that's a really weird investment, and I'm surprised that the pre-order numbers are off the charts, as you say. Because if I'm a gamer, and most gamers probably work either off their parents' budgets or whatever budget they have, depending if they're old enough to be on their own. They're not going to have. You've already bought a PS4. Now the thing is, I got Neo coming out. Do I maybe want to wait for that because it's VR ready, or do I want to invest in all these separate components now? When it's probably going to be VR ready for the PS Neo, whatever it's called, and then this is kind of obsolete. So I've kind of wasted my thing because eventually they're going to pretty much make that the baseline for whatever new development that's going to come out for VR.
Supposedly, they sent out notes to devs like, hey, we don't want a situation where functionality is different. Like, they kind of have to match the functionality from the old hardware to new hardware.
So then that means, coming out the gate, they'll have experiences that can be leveraged between the two different setups. But eventually, you're gonna get to a point where console makers, developers, they like to crank out as much power they can out of the console.
Yeah, there's gonna be a point where the old console can't.
That's not gonna work, and you gotta separate your console base. Because just from a tech standpoint, data's gonna flow faster if it's all one motherboard as opposed to going to some separate box. You gotta go through the speed of the connection speed in between the two separate boxes.
Yeah.
It's always going to be faster on Neo. It's all on the same board. So just from a general, software engineering standpoint, it's kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Just, one later and one now.
Yeah. So they have this event on September 7th in New York at the PlayStation Theater.
They give free stuff?
Yeah, it's a press invite only. I tried. I look around to see if I could. And
he's walking with the camera.
Email. It's like press.
If you know my name, let's walk through.
I can try it, but I don't know. So supposedly they'll announce something on the Neo and when it's supposed to come out, and probably more on PSVR, being that's releasing in October. A slim model of the PS4 did leak though.
So that's true. That wasn't like some rendering. That's something.
No, people were thinking it was like somebody 3D printed it or trying to put it out there. But no, it's legit. So apparently people got their hands on some of them. You know?
I mean, we knew that was gonna happen because Sony was the one that started that whole thing anyway, back with the original PlayStation.
Yeah, slimming it out and changing the designs, which is to be expected. But I'm more interested to see what Microsoft's options are with VR. Whether they're going to partner with Oculus or Vive at this point. I thought Oculus was best positioned to be the premier VR experience, but it seems now, especially like after all of Oculus' setbacks with them getting their pre-order hardware to all the people and the production delays, Vive has kind of stepped out as like the premium, like that's the experience you gotta try. Have you tried any of the VR experiences yet?
I tried. I think this is Oculus. This came with my Galaxy S7 that I just upgraded to.
Okay.
And it's all right. I like it. I just don't like the actual piece of hardware.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like me in VR, like I always think that I should like how what is this thing? Google Glass, is that the thing? Yeah. Put on some shades. I can do my whole VR thing. But I don't like the whole. I gotta walk around with this huge thing and bump into walls and trip over my apartment. But
in that respect, which one do you think will be the first one to take off VR or AR? Like, because like Microsoft has HoloLens and that has like commercial applications, and then the VR scene that's exploded for home entertainment.
I would say I would put my money on AR because like you say, it has practical applications, so you can see these things being picked up by a lot of businesses. And from what I understand, when Google Glass was coming up, a lot of like warehouse logistics kind of businesses really liked that concept, and I think they were experimenting with if I'm a warehouse worker and like if I work at Amazon warehouse and they get an order, you got your workers running around with these glasses on, and they can get kind of like an indication of, all right, we need to get this package, this product from this row in warehouse B, and it needs to be shipped to this, and yada yada yada. And you can give all these workers all these tasks and duties right on the fly. And then as they looking at the equipment, they can have like some kind of special scanning thing. I don't know how the technology's gonna work. Just just for argument's sake, grab it. They can do all the whatever paperwork that they would do manually will be done with the glasses.
Just by sight.
Just check it out. Check out this. Now it's being delivered. It's being it's being prepped. Yada yada yada. When something has practical real world application for businesses, it's automatically going to be picked up fast. If you make the price good enough to be picked up in large quantities, that's going to take off. Like HoloLens, I think, has the most potential in terms of taking off first.
Yeah. I mean, and again, like I had explained the technology to a coworker of mine. He does all of our environmental work. And he often visits sites. They have to run around with these maps and figure out where like these well drillings are, so so they can see where certain vendors were sampling, and then see how like certain chemicals or VOCs were released under the ground, and see the plumage, and they can. But they usually do that via like a chart, right? Like a paper chart. But imagine you show up with the HoloLens. Everything is augmented. You can kind of see, based on GPS, where all the well samples are, and depending on what kind of chemical is supposedly in the ground and the soil and everything, you can kind of tell what the plumage would look like, or what the actual plumage would look like. And I think you're right. I think it just has it's more practical because you're not like walking in the fucking walls.
Yeah.
Because you can see. Like you can see real world.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the main drawback of VR is someone has to address the problem of how do we manage the space. We've gotten the ability to display a virtual world, and when you move, it naturally moves with you. Like with this Oculus thing for the S7, when you move, it's literally the world you're moving into. Yeah. But when I ran into this wall right here because I was like, oh my god, I'm like, oh well, shit.
Vive uses room scale, which is those two lighthouses. Okay. And it uses it to scan the room. So, like, in where you have the headset on, it knows where your borders are, how you have your living room set up, or your room, or whatever. So
that's smart.
If you're walking into something, it'll, like, show you in the game where those borders are, so you don't walk into stuff. And it has a camera on the front of it, which is...
See, that's... Which one is more bulky, Oculus or Vive?
Vive looks more bulky.
I'm not sure
if it actually
I've
is.
seen Vive. It looks like. It looks like that Rick Moranis thing from Honey I Shrunk the Kids.
We had
the weird contraption.
They all have like a lot of cables hanging off.
Yeah,
which is
and that's the thing. Like I think those VR will take off when the technology is smaller.
Yeah.
And B, when you can solve the spacing. But it sounds like Vive has a really good solution for that. So
yeah, I'm not sure if you can actually use that front facing camera for anything. But I know it's there. You
probably can't do it on Oculus A because of cell phone processing power. And then B, there's definitely, this is like magnification, so there's definitely not any peripheral hardware that can actually sense that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Do you plan on getting VR and jumping in VR anytime soon, or?
Depends on it depends on the content. It depends on the content and the price availability. Because what is it? HoloLens is what, like $3,000 for one of those dev kits.
Dev kits, yeah.
Google Glass was like $1,500 when they were still a thing.
Yep.
It all depends on the price point and the content.
Yeah. I mean, Vive is I think $800. Oculus is $600.
So that's like a console and a half to two consoles prices.
Yeah. And then you still have to have the hardware to run it.
And you still gotta have the hardware to run it. So that's a really big investment. If it's not available at entry level price at minimum, it's not gonna work. And also, like I said, with the content, what games are gonna support this thing? Like I don't wanna play a first person shooter where like I'm literally walking through my house. And I only got so much apartment space.
At E3, there were a bunch, like there's a Batman VR experience coming. And I think that might come out when the PlayStation VR comes out, but I think that's also going to go on to other platforms. A lot of other games, like I know Fallout 4, they're going to release a patch for a VR version of that. I'm not sure which platform that'll be on, but definitely there'll be like patches for like a lot of the first-person shooters just to bring you into that world. I mean, I thought it was interesting when Grand Theft Auto 5 they released a first-person shooter view.
Yes,
when we got the new consoles.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting, given the timing of when VR was supposed to drop. So there's content there. There's Brookhaven Laboratories, which I've been hearing a lot about on the Vive, which is kind of like a zombie type. Like you drop into this laboratory and you got to try to figure your way out.
Okay.
Everything seems kind of like a tech demo too at this point. Like everybody's still trying to figure out like what do they do with a lot of stuff. So it'd be interesting to see what experiences they're able to come up with, given that now you have to take into account scale, you have to take into account sound plays a different component in that. Just creating like more of an atmosphere in these worlds that they're trying to push on us. And I think that's one thing I appreciate about games that have done that effectively without having VR, but even with VR, I mean, it has a potential for being so much more than it is. We're getting close to holodecks. It's either like I think I said previously, it's either going to be holodecks or it's going to be Matrix chairs.
I would bank on Matrix chairs because the holodeck, it's how like in Star Trek they say, we use recycled photons, resequence or whatever. Yep. And I'm like, well, there's still a wall to my left and right. Nothing can
again, like
it's gonna have to be Matrix chairs.
Matrix chairs are cool, but knowing humans will want to go for a holodeck because you can fuck a holodeck.
Yeah,
humans want to fuck holodecks.
True.
Any kind of new technology comes out, humans are gonna try to find a way to fuck it.
That is true.
All right, so you are a programmer.
Yes.
And you dev, and you program in your spare time. We previously worked on a game way back in the day called Stormblocks. It was an awesome game. I don't know how many years. I didn't really care how many years we saw. I was just so proud that there was something that was actually put out. And I don't even think you can find it in the App Store anymore. I think You can?
In the not in the Apple App Store.
Okay, it's on the Android App Store. Yeah. Right, so Android App Store, look for Stormblocks, play our fucking game, right? Have you worked on any projects since then?
Yes. So a lot of the things that I've been doing recently is a lot of proof of concept, or we call POCing in the tech world. So like pretty much just you have an idea and you just start messing around with a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of that. One of the POC I kind of launched was called the board project after Stormblocks. And basically that was it's just kind of like an app portal thing where it's like, okay, I'm gonna just mess around with whole different ideas, and maybe I'll just kind of just load them into here to see, if people want to play and think. And so I was doing that for a while, and I launched with one game in that app portal, and then recently what I've been doing is I've been trying to build a common Android app framework that I want to open source at some point, making these different small POC projects. One of them is like a side scroller, like beat 'em up like Streets of Rage. I've messed around with that. I've messed around with like an R-type kind of game. So when you're doing these things, when you're a programmer, when you're an engineer, you start seeing common themes, common code being injected in a lot of different places. And when you do that, you don't want to keep doing things again. So you make things called libraries. And that's what I've been doing. I've been taking all the common things that I've been seeing in between working on different POCs, and I'm saying, okay, so I'm doing this twice, I'm doing this 4 times. Let me bundle this into a library that people can call, or I can call, and have all my code in one place. And then when I started doing this, I said, well, you know what? I've been using, OpenGL to render sprites, using the horrible Android sound API, and I've gotten around their shortcomings. So I say, this would be helpful for other people that might have this kind of interest. So now I decided to make a library that I'm going to open source for people to use. So that's what I've been doing, and I call it my common Android gaming library thing.
This is not posted yet, right? To GitHub or anything.
It's not on GitHub yet. So I did make version 1 last summer, and so right now what I want to do is I'm making an actual application or another game using this library, and at the same time I'm making this application that uses it. I'm also making modifications to the library itself, so that way the proof of concept. This app is a proof of concept. It literally is the proof that this works and this is how you use it.
Okay.
So and then from that on, you write documentation, and then you kind of just distribute it from there.
All right. Do you have any dream projects that you want to work on, or?
A dream project that I want to work on is something with episodic content, and that's an RPG.
Okay.
That's a dream project. Or it could be like, not like your standard turn-based RPG, because that's boring now, right? Mm-hmm. No one likes turn-based anymore. But I would like to do something that's like, if it's an action RPG, something where I have a big hand in not only the technical aspect, but the story aspect. Like, I want to craft a really good story, really good characters. I want to make a universe, because since I like Halo so much, I really like the idea of making a really good narrative.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to get into next. I've been kind of training myself to write short stories, reading a lot of other narratives. Like, I read the Terry Brooks series, the Shannara series, which has been a really big inspiration.
I call it. This is the one on MTV, right?
No, don't. That doesn't exist.
Oh, okay. The Shannara. I just trail off like Shannara. Who is this?
I've been reading this series since I was in junior high school, actually. And when it came up on MTV, I was like, that's terrible. So if anyone is a Shannara fan, it's terrible. I agree.
So the books, this book you're talking about is completely different from
the book.
MTV.
They screwed everything up.
Oh, so that's source material. That's what they.
That's source material. Yeah.
Okay.
They screwed up a lot of stuff,
okay.
And it's terrible.
All right. Well, yeah.
The Shannara series has been a really big inspiration for understanding, how make characters, make backstory, and develop conflict in between characters, set pieces, doing that kind of stuff. So I don't have experience with that, so it's really good learning curve. But that's my dream project. Make something where it's first and foremost an amazing story with history and goes places, and then turn it into kind of like an RPG, action RPG kind of hybrid.
Okay. Have you read or watched anything from Game of Thrones?
I haven't. That's been the latest craze. That's been water cooler talk at work, wherever. I have not watched Game of Thrones.
I'm just saying it's worth a look. It's worth a look.
I just haven't invested time because every time a season ends or there's a mid-season break, half the cast dies. So I'm just I don't want to invest time in these characters and everyone dies.
But that's the thing. I'm a big Game of Thrones fan, just to preface it, right? It's just impressive. Even if very loved characters pass away, you're still drawn in to see what else is what's gonna happen. How is this thing gonna end? Because they already killed my boy Sean Bean, even though I think it's in his contract that he's supposed to die in every movie.
Oh yeah.
But It's I'm telling you, like the books are compelling, the television show is compelling. Like it's so much, and the universe is so rich. There's all this stuff going on. There's all this history, the stuff that we haven't even explored yet. Like it's one of the to me it's the best show on television, and it might be one of the best
Walking Dead
books. No, better than Walking Dead. Again, I can't even say it because I haven't even watched Walking Dead, so that might be right. I don't know. But it's definitely worth a look. You should give that a look. I'm not sure if we talked about Halo 5.
No, we did not.
It's been a while since the game was released, but Halo being such like an important game series, for me and I know for you, where do you think they did right? What do you think they did right? And what's like the thing that you think they did wrong with that?
Okay, so that's if I have to base it around the games, and I'll do that because I have all the books. If you were sitting here right now, you would see all the books that I have in my bookcase.
A lot of them.
So there's a lot of things that went wrong on the larger universe in terms of they're in terms of the novels with Karen Travis. Not a fan. Not a fan, Karen. You screwed everything up. So, filtering into the game Halo 5 with the Halo 5 book trilogy, that really played a role into why Greg Bear's Forerunner series was kind of focused, kind of pigeonholed into Halo 4, and it also bled out into Halo 5 after the Halo 5 trilogy ended. A lot of the tone she was setting in the novel bled over into Halo 5, and it was literally, to me, a clone of one of her books where it was just so bland. You have people saying the same lines over and over again. No one, and this is in terms of story and character development, no one pushed the dialogue forward. It was just checkpoint after checkpoint, the same thing over and over again, and that's where they went wrong. They tried to make something very simple and easy to relate to.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they made something formless. Like Halo 5, in terms of its story, was formless.
Yeah.
It was derivative. Everyone has seen the whole thing about the AI goes back. We've seen that plenty of times. The reason why the Halo and Master Chief Cortana dynamic works so much because it wasn't the typical AI human dynamic where an AI is kind of like a slave and they kind of just rise up and kill their human creators, and you get that one hero, which I don't know who the hell it is right now, comes and saves the day. We'll find it in Halo 6. But they did something that everyone else did. They took what was unique, where you had these two people who were kind of like victims of war, and they developed this really good relationship. They survived. They take care of each other, and they kind of hinted in Halo 4 they kind of love each other a little bit, but
Cortana had the cheeks.
Yeah. Her motto for Chief was kind of looking at that from the back. He was, but they took that and then they got to Halo 4, but Halo 4 story was still kind of like all right, whatever. We'll give 343 a pass. They killed Cortana, which is big. The only detractor being the Didact being stupid.
Yep.
And now they just turned her and made her into this generic piece of crap. And I'm like, what is this, Call of Duty? That's what I call Halo 5 now. This is Call of Duty 5. Like, call it Halo, whatever they've been calling it online. Where it's just some...
Halo Duty 5.
Yeah, where it's just some boiled down generic piece of shit. And I don't know if this FCC bleeped that. And it was nothing exciting. When you start the game, the first mission is you get this whole huge sequence where you're going down this cliff, and that I like. They made the Spartans to be acrobatic, and which in the books they were, but in the previous Halo games, Spartans kind of like this tank character that just kind of runs, and he just shoots everything and reloads and picks up a gun. In the books, they're very acrobatic. They're like freaking ninjas.
Yep.
So when you see this in the trailer, I'm like, oh wow, they really, stuck to the material. And then after that, it went to complete shit. You find out you have to rescue Halsey. What was Halsey doing? If I'm a gamer playing the games and not reading the novels, I don't know what she's doing. Yeah. If you didn't listen to Hunt the Truth or whatever. So
I think you had to also have played Spartan Ops too.
Yes, Spartan Ops, which that was another thing. You're rescuing Halsey. All right, so how the hell? How did we get to this point? Someone that was kind of like maybe a sub boss who was supposed to be a sub boss to the Didact, who's supposed to have a substantial presence, Shulam Dama, gets killed in the first the first mission with a knife to the throat. It wasn't even.
There was no. It was anticlimactic. Yeah.
There was no tension. There was no build up. He wasn't even placed as a boss. He just got killed in some sequence, which you put the controller down. You just watched him die.
Yep.
He's supposed to have some pretty badass elites. They got murked. So then, now you get Halsey, and then when you play the missions and you eventually get back to Infinity, there's all this kind of like side dialogue that that they throw. That there was all of this story progression about Halsey sending Lasky and whoever that Spanish chick is in the Spartan armor, her location. They were sharing information back and forth, and she was really on this side, but she wasn't. But you never get to see this dynamic. You don't get to see this. This wasn't in the fucking game.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of stuff that was just said as a comment by a side character that you just had to figure out, okay, so maybe something happened, but I don't know what the fuck happened. Then you get whisked off to Genesis, and it was a lot of stuff that really should have been in the game and it wasn't in the game. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, and even in the marketing, like the whole like Chief versus Locke situation,
Didn't
like
happen.
you're expecting like some real major throwdown, and it was just like they just stared at each other across platforms. And nothing happened.
No, something happened. Chief got his helmet cracked and non-interactive FMV sequence.
Yeah, that's true.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then Chief just owned him anyway, and then they just walked off.
Yep.
That's it. And then another bad thing about Halo 5 was the enemies. The enemies were terrible. When you played Halo 1, that point where you get to that point where you're fighting the Covenant and you're kind of like, hey, yeah, the Covenant's really badass, the elites are smart, the AI's smart. Then the Flood come out of nowhere, and you're like, whoa, what is this? Then the Sentinels come out of nowhere. Everybody had a really good introduction. They were brought into the universe and into the scene, or whatever the plot was for that game iteration. All the characters were brought in very well, and they fit. And they were challenging. It was just bullet sponge, bullet sponge, bullet sponge. And then you get to face Warden Eternal. Who is he? Does anyone know who the fuck Warden Eternal is? I don't know what he is.
I'm trying to remember.
He has a really good British accent.
I think they might have mentioned him in the book somewhere, but I'm not even sure.
I've read him. He's not mentioned.
No, he just comes out of nowhere.
He just comes out of nowhere. He's introduced in this game, and he has a really convincing British accent. And
very nice.
And you fight him like 7 times, and he sounds like he's busting a nut every time you kill him. That's all you pretty much know about him. And him and Cortana have like this, I don't know, they're like paramours to each other. Mm-hmm. Somehow, no explanation. Again, no explanation. And like you said about the marketing, this whole Locke versus Chief thing, and you get to the game, they fight a little bit, but then eventually Locke goes, okay, yeah, you're really trying to save the world like everyone else saw you do. Yeah. So I'm on your side now.
Yeah.
What's my point in being introduced as a new cast, trying to, the torches being given from Blue Team to Osiris, and there is no torch giving. You just got more people that can die in the next game. That's it. Or in a book somewhere, or in some kind of, you just might not see the characters in Halo 6 and they all died. We'll get a comment from an NPC.
Yeah. And the Chief missions weren't that compelling either.
Oh, yeah. All 3 of them? Yeah, they were kind of...
Yeah, like you were barely Chief.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was about.
And also, this thing about having FPSs with missions where you don't do nothing.
Yeah, like you were on, I don't know, what is that,
Sangelios and Meridian.
And you're just like, hey, you got that thing? Yeah, it's over here, let me get it.
Push buttons to interact.
Yeah, go talk to Halsey about that thing. Halsey, I got the thing you want. Will we put it in? Yeah, put it in here.
That was it. And they really needed to make a game where it was literally like Halo 1, 2, 3, or Reach, or ODST.
Yeah.
The story unfolded in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
And they really needed to put the player in the driver's seat. And they did in Halo 4, one of my main complaints was it was literally push button, this, that, and the third, activate this terminal, activate this switch, activate this light bridge, and then you eventually got to the credit scene.
Yep.
But I mean, you can give that kind of a pass because it is kind of like a new world. They don't know what they're doing. Cortana and Chief are kind of running around trying to save Infinity, So they really needed to go from that to, all right, so now, we're in like, this is like us, this Halo 5 is literally Halo 2 again. That's what everyone's looking at it as. Halo 2 might have had a cliffhanger ending that no one liked, but The gameplay was amazing. The story was amazing. It was literally a roller coaster up until that point. You're like, oh, fucking shit, oh well, can't wait for Halo 3 now. This one was like, I did nothing.
Yeah, it's like, whoa. Do I even wait for the next game? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, so that's what it was. And whoever that creative lead was, or whoever it is, I blame that on him and Cameron Travis because he did...
And Kiki Wolfkill.
He did, Brian Reed, is that his name?
I don't even know.
I forgot his name or something. He was the creative lead, story lead behind Spartan Ops. Which, have you played all the Spartan Ops, or at least watched all the FMV sequences?
Yeah.
Terrible in terms of story.
Yeah.
It was the first half was terrible. The second half was a little better. But case in point is, if I have to put Halo 5 and where it went wrong is they put this Brian Reed or whatever his name is in this seat, and he literally made Halo 5 feel like an extra Spartan Ops chapter. This should have been Spartan Ops Part 2, which was supposed to happen, and which is what me and some other people said. We said Halo 5 felt like this was the extra Spartan Ops Season 2. This felt like Spartan Ops Season 2.
Yeah, I can definitely see it.
Yeah, this felt like Spartan. It was very pared down. It wasn't the production values were nowhere near Halo. Yeah. This was a Spartan Ops Season 2, and that's what it was. That's what they went wrong. They went for the cheap instead of the whole shebang.
Yeah. Like I anticipated, like especially from all the marketing, the Hunt the Truth campaigns, like all of that stuff. Like there was gonna be like a Spartan on Spartan conflict. And, Chief is a fucking enemy, and the whole, UNSC is after him.
Yeah.
And it was like, follow him to that portal.
Yeah.
Oh, he closed the portal on me. Ah!
And then the point where he quote-unquote rogue was stupid too. And then that Argent Moon, when he has like some freak out, he falls off a bridge, and which someone rose his point, which is actually great. He's all talking to them, and then all of a sudden everybody knows Cortana's evil. I'm like, wait, how did everybody know? I just found out. Like,
yeah.
And then at the end of that one, how he goes rogue is, Lasky goes, we got somebody else on the team for Cortana, and he's like, I don't like it. That's where he went rogue. I'm like, where's the whole, that was like his dead love, and now she's back to life. Where's the anger? Where's the conflict? He should really be on Infinity, tearing shit up, fighting his own human race because he wants to go save his girlfriend that came back to life. Like, there was none of that. He wanted to save his buns. Mm-hmm. Like there was none of that. I don't like it.
It's a man of few words.
They had so much material they could have used, and they did absolutely nothing with it.
Yeah. I think of this gen, that was like the most disappointing thing. Like even
nothing.
Like have you bought into the hype of No Man's Sky?
Oh, No Man's Sky! I bought into the soundtrack. The soundtrack is great.
I mean, if I had to describe it, it feels kind of like a beta at this point. Like it feels very much like it should be something more. Like there's still stuff left to add. I don't know if they're gonna do that to DLC. Like you start off on the planet. You start off on a randomly generated planet, and you're near a ship, and the ship is broken, and you have to repair the ship and its warp drive in order to like leave that particular solar system. The scale is impressive, but there's no there. You understand what I'm saying? Like you just go to the same planets doing the same thing all over and over again.
Pretty much, it's like Mass Effect harvesting, resource harvesting. That's what I call it. I said this looks like Mass Effect resource harvesting. Just
pretty much. Not
in like some kind of menu where you just press scan and the scan will just continue.
And I don't think it's outside of anything that they had promised. I just think like because the game was announced so early and it took so long for it to come out, I think people's expectations were like kind of like up there. Like to me, it was like Star Trek Simulator. I'm ready. Let's go. Like I figured there'd be more interaction with aliens. At least one planet with a city on it or something. But it just feels kind of like. I mean, again, like I like the game. I like playing it. It's actually kind of like therapeutic in a sense. Because you're alone on these planets and you got to figure stuff out. Which after you do it the first time, it's not hard. You just got to try not to carry too much money on you because you're going to get robbed by space pirates.
Oh shit, you get mugged?
They kill you and then like you lose some money and some items. But it just needs it definitely needs to be more of a game there. More of a story. Than what currently exists now.
Here's what I say about No Man's Sky. like I said, it was like Mass Effect resource mini game, just made it into an all game. But the other thing I say about No Man's Sky is, listen, and if Bungie ever listens to this podcast, because that goddamn Destiny, what needs to happen is somebody at Bungie, Blizzard, or whatever the hell they are under the Activision, needs to buy that goddamn company and get the licensing rights to that damn game, because that literally is the other exploratory half of Destiny.
Destiny, yes. Yes.
That's the other half. If you take that shitty story and then just expand it across No Man's Sky's expansive world, that's what Destiny was supposed to fucking be. So, y'all need to take that and grab up them rights and then inject that shit into Destiny 2.
Very true, because, I mean, if you look at it, like, the ships in Destiny, like, the whole point of the ships, like, what is the whole point of the ships? Like, they don't do anything.
Nope. They were supposed to.
They look good on the loading screens. That's it. But if I agree with you, if they had that same dynamic where if it was like, all right, I'm in this solar system, I fly to this planet, and then it's kind of like all the interaction you have on those maps.
Yeah.
It would have made the game much more expansive.
Yeah. Peter Dinklage wouldn't have left.
I think they gave him a lot of flack for no apparent reason at all. I didn't think he was that terrible, but whatever. The internet is the internet.
Shit, they made the script. I don't know why everybody blamed him anyway. He showed up ready to do voice work with a script that was given to me and write it. He didn't write the story.
Yeah. And then they completely like phased him out of the game.
And if you was on ready to Peter Dinklage, you should have took Jen Taylor. No one can do voice like Jen Taylor.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anything you're looking to play in the near future?
Yes. I'm definitely Gears of War 4. I'm just gonna play because I want to see what the story is. Especially since they got a Zombie Dom downloadable. Now I'm interested in how Zombie Dom. What's up with that? But I played Gears of War 3 actually recently. I didn't play it when the game came out. I played it probably like last year and I beat it. And Gears of War 3, in terms of how it rounded out the story, was pretty good. And the gameplay mechanics was pretty dope.
It's my favorite one of the.
And the multiplayer was pretty dope. Like everybody slept. I don't know why I slept on Gears of War 3 and everybody else slept on it. Like I guess they were too fatigued from 2 being such a waste.
Yeah.
But 3 was pretty dope. Anyway, so Gears of War 4.
We don't care about Maria.
Yeah. Gears of War 4. I'm ready for that. State of Decay 2.
State of Decay 2.
State of Decay 2.
I didn't play 1. That's the zombie survival game, right?
Yeah, they got the definitive edition on I think Xbox One and PC, maybe PS4. I'm not sure. But you got both, right?
Yeah.
Get it. It was a free download when I got on Xbox One, and I was hooked on that game.
Yeah.
But State of Decay 2, if they ever come out with a DOA 6, I'm waiting for that.
Is it multiplayer in that?
What?
State of Decay.
I think the new one is. The first one wasn't, and that was the main drawback that people said this game is so much goddamn fun. Why isn't it multiplayer? But before that studio went big, they were a small shop. Yeah. So, now that they got the funding, 2 is going to be multiplayer, I believe.
Okay.
So State of Decay 2, I'm hoping they release some Quantum Break DLC, because Quantum Break to me was a knockout of the park. Like, I know people like to harp on it because it had the whole episodic kind of like, side movie content, TV show, whatever.
Yeah.
But I loved Alan Wake, and I loved that from Alan Wake. It was great. If you wanted, you could borrow it.
All right.
I beat it on the hardest mode, so I don't got nothing else until they come out with DLC. So you can take it. But it's amazing from start to finish. They did a really good job, even though I still don't. Oh, is it Sean Ashmore, Aaron Ashmore? He still won't. He can still never be convincing out of Iceman.
It's funny. Typecasted, buddy.
Yeah, he's typecasted. And then what else is on the horizon? Resident Evil, the new one. I need to see more material for me to get excited about.
I'm kind of done with Resident Evil. I'm kind of done with a lot of games that come out of Japan in general because they're just resting on their laurels at this point. And some of their designs are just like very like stuck in the past.
Yeah, I always think they design their games like how they make their movies.
Yeah, are you excited about Final Fantasy 15?
You know me. I haven't been excited for Final Fantasy after 9.
9 was it to me. 9 was the best, and then they lost me with that underwater soccer bullshit.
Blitzball or whatever it was.
Yeah.
They lost me when they introduced the grid system. I just couldn't play Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I don't understand all of that. I don't want to do all that. I just want to progress. I don't want to I'm gonna modify my character.
Like the last good turn-based RPG I played was still Lost Odyssey. That was the last good one. Because it had the turn-based, grindy progression thing, but it had other stuff. It had that ring system, which is pretty good. And then the system of, I think they took this from, what's that game series? The cartoony one? Not Star Ocean. Tales.
Tales of
the Tales series. I think the last one I played was Vesperia, and they had that system where like certain characters could gain certain skills and certain characters couldn't, but then you could learn the skills from the other characters by like pairing them up somehow, kind of like summons.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
And that's a cool system. Like Lost Odyssey had this, and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. But no, I'm not excited for any of the Final Fantasies. I can't. I think I'm done with the Final Fantasy.
Yeah, initially I was excited, and then I started seeing like what they were gonna release, and then I'm like, this looks like the same shit they've been releasing with 13.
They should call it Final Fantasy Boy Band. That's what they should call it.
I mean, initially it was supposed to be another. It was, was it 13 Versus? That's the name of the game.
Oh, this was 13 Versus.
That's what it was supposed to be. Yeah, and it was like, oh, we got all these art assets. We might as well make a game and call it 15. Yeah, it's just like, I don't know.
Mass Effect Andromeda. I'm not excited, but I'm
Curious
looking forward.
about
I'm curious.
Yeah.
Because I wanted like that is alright. Besides, I love my Halo in terms of its lore, but Mass Effect, amazing. BioWare, love you guys. But I'm interested into seeing how it connects the two universes. I think it's a different galaxy. I think we established that at this point. It's in the Andromeda galaxy. I want to know why they're there. That's the biggest question I have. Why are you in Andromeda? I'm guessing it's because they must have left when the Reapers were attacking and was like, okay, if we get killed, we need to rebuild the race. So I'm guessing it's kind of like a seed ship kind of deal, like how like Botany Bay was, or not Botany Bay. What's the thing in Star Trek where they seeded? So, the bread in the fridge.
Say again?
In the fridge. Alright, give a 5-second count. 1, 2, 3, and continue. So, I want to know why they're there, like I said, and I'm guessing it's like they have like some kind of seed ship just in case they lost to the Reapers and humanity can come back to life. Or, they can rebuild the civilization somewhere else between all the different races in the Milky Way galaxy. And then besides that, I think after that, if Halo 6 comes out, I have to play it because I'm a slave. There really is nothing else I'm looking forward to in terms of releases. There's nothing that's compelling.
I think the only thing I was looking forward to was No Man's Sky. That's out. And PSVR. That's the only thing I was looking forward to this year.
I'm trying to think if there's any. Oh wait, they got a new Prey game coming out. They just had a trailer thing at Gamescom, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really care for the first Prey.
I liked it. It was okay. I liked the story. It was good. It was very breakthrough for me because you had the Native American cast lead, which was great.
Yeah.
We all like diversity in gaming. So I think Tommy did a pretty good job. And I like the whole spirit aspect, Native American spirit thing. That was pretty cool, So I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do with this one. Halo Wars 2.
Halo Wars 2?
I would have to say that's the next thing I'm looking forward to in terms of story. I played the beta, sucked. I don't know why they literally took the old game and literally just they didn't even put HD textures on it. They just literally took the old game, maybe added more unit counts.
Yeah.
And just like, okay, this is the game system, guys.
They just want to test the tech.
It looks dated. Like, it looks like it's like a second-gen Xbox 360 game.
That's one of the things, like, in Halo 5 I didn't understand. Like, I know they were trying to, like, they wanted to, like, prioritize frame rate over, like, graphics. But I wasn't that impressed with the graphics in Halo 5.
Definitely not.
And that's one of the things, like, Halo has always been, like, a very pretty game. It's like a showcase game.
Yeah.
And I felt like it wasn't doing that for me.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't showcasing the system strengths. And
they did the mistake that Bungie did with, not a mistake, but I'll say the choice that they did with Halo 3 after Halo 2. Halo 3's graphics was great. The lighting was amazing. But in terms of like visual fidelity in general, it literally was Halo 2.5 engine.
Yeah.
And they just with Halo 5, they literally took Halo 4's engine and made it Halo 4.5 engine.
Yeah.
They didn't gut stuff out and make new crap. It literally looked like Halo 4 just with more on-screen elements.
Yeah.
So the graphics weren't that great. But Halo Wars 2, I'm interested because of the story. That has been one of the biggest gaping holes in the expanded lore that's finally going to get filled. Yeah. I hope they release a book to go alongside with that, because they did I think they did 1 or 2 books for Halo Wars. I think Cold Protocol was one of them, and Harvest.
Spirit of Fire, right? That's the name of the ship?
Yeah. So I want to know, obviously something had to happen, because the Ark is outside of the galaxy, and they didn't have
that's right. They are at the Ark.
Yeah.
And supposedly they're in like modern times now, right?
Yeah, they're literally in between Halo 5 and 6 in terms of timeline.
Okay.
So, how did they get there if they don't have faster than light travel? So there's obviously it has to be some kind of, there's a lot of, I'll say it again for you, fucking 343. It's a lot of opportunity for good storytelling, so use it. RTSs are like storytelling like sponges. So I mean, you have one of the best mediums to tell a story is through an RTS. So I want to find out how they got there without FTL. Obviously, some portal had to open and let them through. There is a book also. I think it's Last Light. Is that the one that introduces Olympia Vale? No, it's Hunters in the Dark introduces Olympia Vale, and they got there through a portal. So I'm wondering who else was able to open up a portal for Spirit Under Fire.
Yeah.
That new AI they have, that one looks all scared and afraid, and the new Spartans, and then Atriox. Who the hell is he? So I'm excited for that from a story standpoint. Gameplay, I'm gonna play for the FMVs.
Yeah, he looks like a smarter, more dangerous brute.
Yeah. I know in one of the other books, Broken Circle, there's a breakout Covenant sect that they were kind of like banished, and then they reunited with the current Covenant after Halo 4, but then they decided to stay. Some of them decided to go somewhere else and be like different. So who knows, when you might see them pop up. Maybe that's where Atriox is from.
Could be.
Besides that, there's nothing else I want to play. I mean, that's it. What are your games you looking forward to?
Again, like I was looking forward to No Man's Sky. That's out. I'm really interested in like a lot of the PlayStation VR stuff that's about to come out, just to see what that experience is like, and then compare it to what I've seen on the PC end of it. I don't know anything else that's coming out.
Titanfall 2's coming out, and they're trying to add campaign, right? Titanfall 2?
Yeah, this time is campaign.
Alright, so I might give Titanfall a spin, the second one, to see what it's like. Because I thought, like, in terms of gameplay, I thought Titanfall 1 was pretty great.
It was good. It was just lacking, like, more. It didn't need to be more game there. And they thought they could just release a multiplayer mode and then, like, skate that way.
I'm definitely, I'm a single player guy at heart, so I love the stories.
Yeah. They cut off like more than half their base by just not including a single player.
Yeah. The only other thing I can remember is what's up with that Shenmue? Like, I mean, Sega had this whole crowdfunded thing, and
it looks like a mess.
That's the only other thing that I would say that I'm interested in seeing, is because Shenmue was a thing. Like you were the biggest Shenmue fan. I just was kind of like, okay, it's a cool game. But
and then Grand Theft came out, and then that killed it.
Oh yeah, that took the torch.
I mean, like this, like if I played Shenmue today for like the first time, I would be like, yo, what the hell is this? Like, it was revolutionary at the time, just because you can go anywhere, you could touch anything, you could do all of this kind of stuff. Story's kind of boring. I don't want to work at the docks for like hours upon hours in a day. I don't want a reality simulator.
Yes.
I don't think that game has any appeal to most people nowadays. I think people are pretty much operating off of nostalgia with that, and being that it's today's Sega, not back in the day's Sega that's running that whole thing. Terrible. It's gonna be a terrible game.
I am interested where they had that new Doom that came out, which I have to pick up and play.
I hear that's pretty good.
I want to see what they're gonna try to do with Doom, because I hear it wasn't that bad.
No, I heard it was good.
Yeah.
You know.
Aliens. I'm playing Aliens Isolation right now, and that's pretty good. They released that definitive one.
Yeah.
So I downloaded it when it was like the free one. So I'm interested in seeing where they're gonna go with that because I'm playing it now and I'm like, this is amazing. Like this is that's survival horror.
Yeah.
That's survival horror.
You see that thing crawling around the ship and you're hiding places and then it's just like walking past. Like you gotta.
And then that's not the only thing you're fighting too. Like you're fighting like androids and like other people still stuck on the station, which I didn't even think that was gonna happen.
I heard the androids were creepier than the damn alien.
Yeah. They're like Mr. X's from Resident Evil 2.
They're just relentless, smart, killing you.
And then if I don't know if Insomniac has ever listened to the podcast, but if you are, please make a sequel to Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty good game.
Yeah.
I think Xbox's launch got in the way of that title.
Yes, you know what? I'll have to agree. What's this guy? Don Matrick. Don friggin' Matrick.
It's terrible. Terrible.
He screwed up the Xbox One.
That's why he's no longer there. I like what Phil Spencer's doing. I like his focus. I like where he's taking things.
Phil Spencer, yeah.
So I hope he keeps it up and actually fights for our money. Because I think that's the problem with Don Matrick. He had the same problem that Ken Kutaragi had with PlayStation 3, was like, don't buy it anyway. Like, it doesn't matter. He had such a disdain for people that are buying his product.
Every time someone says his name, I think of that disgraceful 2005 or 6 E3. Ridge Racer!
It's horrible. That's Kaz Hirai.
Yeah. And then the Batarang controller.
No, we call it the Dildonics controller. It looks like a dildo. That was crazy. I don't know why they thought that was gonna be a thing.
Well, that's gonna be what is it? The iToy wand or the PlayStation wand or whatever. Like people saying it looks like a butt plug.
We called that the Dildonics controller. That was the follow up to. We call that whole technology phallic looking controllers. Dildonics. That's it.
Oh my god.
Dildo electronics converged.
It like lights up and turns colors. I'm like, yo, this is just some next level like what is this guy?
Butt plugs for EDM fans.
Hugh Hefner's getting excited right now. He got some new toys to play with his bunnies with.
Yo, it's crazy. But man, that was terrible. Those terrible times. And again, like if you respect your players' time and you respect the community that you created with these things, then and if you want to fight for their patronage, like that's what brought Sony to where they are now. That's what brought Xbox 360 to where it was at that point in time, because they they really wanted to capture people's hearts and minds with the experiences that they were trying to present at the time.
And I think I think now, like you said, under Phil Spencer, they've been doing that. I think the first step was very important, was to institute backward compatibility. That's very key, because it's been a staple. Sony started that thing. Mm-hmm. Oh no, Sony didn't start that. I want to say Nintendo started that with one of the there was a release of Super Nintendo that could play Game Boy games.
Might have been.
Yeah, that was like an attachment. Yeah,
Atari might have even done that too.
Atari might have even done that. So all right, so this is something that's been appreciated, I'll say, in the gaming community when you go from one hardware to the next, and it kind of echoes PCs, because you can run anything from Windows 95 up until now these days. So it's expected. So I think they did a good job at instituting back.
You can play Ski Free now. Ski Free was like 91, 92. I don't even know when that game came out, but that's so old.
No, even older. Star Trek. Remember the one we used to play? I have it. 25th anniversary. You can play that on Windows 7.
And again, that's what. And I've said this to the podcast, on the podcast before, is that x86, that whole PC infrastructure, enabling backwards compatibility was the best thing that they could have done for that system. Especially given the circumstances. Like now, all I have to do is buy the box, and I still have all my 360 stuff.
Yeah, like it's great, and
like everything that's in the store on Xbox One automatically pops up.
Yeah. And you know what? That actually worked better in their favor too, because not only did they institute back compatibility, but they upgraded their firmware to include 360.
Yeah.
So you know, it's a very that was a very good move on them. So you get people where they're like, okay, I made all this investment for all these games on 360. I don't want to leave all this behind.
Yeah.
Well, let me bring it, and then they wound up themselves by making it downloadable. So technically, you can get rid of all your discs pretty much.
Yeah.
On 360.
Yeah. All right. This has been episode 21 of the Double Lounge Consolecast. Tell all the people where they can reach you out on social media and anything they want to check out, anything you're working on.
Well, he mentioned Stormblock, so if anybody wants to check that out, I'm under the same developer name still, so anything that I launch will be under that. I think it's HD. So you can see like that POC kind of portal I was telling you mentioned earlier. You can reach out on there. We do have a I think we have a page. We have a Tumblr. There's a Tumblr there. There's also a page on Facebook, and it's all HD. So you can just like look up HD or load screen games, depending on. I think that one's still up too. And if anybody wants to just generally add me on Facebook, or you want to submit like, let me know. Check out like your stuff. Let me know if anybody wants any tips and tricks, any insight onto maybe some developed fronts. You can reach me out on there. So. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
No, it's been awesome. I think it's been a good episode. And again, I gotta have you on again whenever something big in gaming happens. I know PlayStation experiences later on this year, and then whatever. If you just want to shoot the shit about games, I'm more than willing to bring you on and we'll chop it up. Again, this has been episode 21 of the Double Lounge Consolecast. You can reach us on IGN, Facebook, Twitter. And also Google us, 00Lounge or at 00Lounge. We got all the social media shit locked up. I'm Malik Banks, and we're out.
Later, guys.
Peace.